Contracted Phase 2. In case you haven't guessed, this is obviously the sequel to the movie Contracted. Now, I'll be honest with you right from the get-go, I haven't seen the original movie, though I had kind of had the gist about what it was about. So let me just explain what that movie was about, essentially. It was basically a film about a woman who essentially gets a sexually transmitted disease, or at least that's what she thinks it is. However, it's far more serious, as this basically turns out to be some kind of necrotic zombie-like, almost like virus, and she ultimately becomes kind of like a zombie. But essentially it was a kind of a metaphor from dealing with rape, as far as I understand, and obviously the woes of sexually transmitted diseases. So this movie takes place directly after that first movie, so you kind of do benefit certainly from having seen that original movie, although like I said, I haven't seen it, and I kind of managed to I pick up what's going on, but I did have an idea about what the first movie was about, so bear that in mind. So anyway, let's talk about the sequel. So this one really focuses on basically a guy who was infected from the last movie, and his basically kind of realisation about what's going on. However, this kind of time we sort of see the virus spread far more kind of rapidly and through many people. And essentially, I would say this one kind of is more of a straight zombie film in a way. I don't think it has it's seemingly quite as hidden metaphors as the kind of the first film. Not that I've seen it, but as I understand it. So I thought it was quite an effective body horror film, although it does suffer from some of the typical kind of cliches. For example, you know, people who have clearly got something wrong with them but kind of unwilling to sort of seek medical help, and we have the kind of the typical sort of scene where we have a kind of a police person going into a building which is clearly a nest, shall we say, of something a little bit dodgy without calling for backup, things like that. So it does kind of go through the kind of the same old sort of cliches that we have in sort of certain horror films. Although I have to say, I still quite enjoyed this movie. I actually thought it was quite a kind of slightly different take on a zombie-like genre, really, and I certainly kind of enjoyed it. I thought the main character, this guy, was fairly likeable, and as I say, I haven't seen the original film, but I understand the original protagonist in that was kind of unlikable. But here, I actually quite liked the main guy here. I thought the effects were generally quite good. Lots of kind of gooey and slimy kind of bodily effects here, so if you're a little bit queasy, then you might want to stay away from this one. But I thought this was actually a fun film. It kind of rattles on at a fair old pace, and although it does have some cliches and kind of leaves it open for a third film as well, I would certainly recommend checking it out. But I would say probably check them both out. I think you definitely would get more from this film if you have experienced the first film. So I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.